This September 12th, SON Estrella Galicia are back in London with their micro festival at Hackney's Paper Dress Vintage. With live music, beer culture, street food and workshops, SON Estrella Galicia is the musical arm of the family-owned independent Estrella Galicia beer brand, which has been creating unforgettable music experiences since 2009. The September the 12th event will be headlined by Coach Party with support from the New Eves, as well as yet-to-be-announced DJ sets and local music selectors. There'll be a clothing repair workshop to customise your repaired clothes, a local food vendor serving 0 kilometre food with veggie and vegan options, a Soundcrafters interactive workshop, and a beer pouring workshop. Alongside the London event, there'll be a series of new micro-festivals in Madrid, A Coruña, Barcelona later in 2024, and Berlin and Granada in 2025, reflecting a truly global approach from SON Estrella Galicia. So if you're in London, September the 12th, swing by Hackney's Paper Dress Vintage for SON Estrella Galicia. Tickets are available now via Dice. As an independent music podcast, 101 Part-Time Jobs highly recommends DistroKid as the best solution to putting out your own music online. You can join 1 million other artists from all across the world putting out their own music on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, and everywhere else across the DSPs where people are listening to your music. My dream as a kid was to run a small little label, and now with DistroKid, getting music out online is the easiest it ever has been, making 100% of your own royalties while paying a small annual fee. And that fee's even smaller as a 101 Part-Time Jobs listener. Head to distrokid.com/VIP/101pod to get 30% off your first year putting out your own music on DistroKid. Getting your own music out into the world has never been easier. Head to distrokid.com/VIP/101pod to get the best deal you can.
Wearing ice blue and grey, though I am no snow queen.
Hey, you're listening to 101 Part-Time Jobs. I'm Giles Bidder, and I speak to bands and musicians about all the work that goes in behind their music. Every now and then you catch a track and you've never heard of the artist before, but immediately the song grabs you and changes your mood. That's exactly what Utensil from Hannah McKittrick did for me. Hannah's from Melbourne. She's just been over in the UK doing some support shows with Angie McMahon. And I spoke with Hannah while she was hunkering down in Scotland last week. This song, Utensil, is just phenomenal. And it was wonderful to get to know Hannah and a bit of her background growing up and making music in a solitary way. That's all to come. So thank you so much for listening to 101 Part-Time Jobs. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you click subscribe. We put out 2 episodes every week, and we'd love for you to be here with us. So thank you. And if you're able to leave 5 stars on Apple or Spotify, wherever you're listening to this, that would be mega. Cheers. For those of you who already know Hannah McKittrick, or if you're just about to learn about her, press pause, go give Utensil a listen, and then come back here. And after the jump, we'll be hearing from her. 101 Part-Time Jobs.
I think I have trouble sometimes, like thinking about or planning for the future. I'm not very I can't see that far ahead. I'm not good at making goals or I just have kind of ambient, diffused dreams of it would be lovely if I could play music overseas, or it would be lovely if I didn't have to work 3 jobs. But I think I grew up like in a small town, and was singing and playing music was just something that I could do, I guess, in a solitary way, which felt, that was like the beginnings of my, I don't know, just finding comfort in being on my own and being able to probably communicate stuff without language felt good to me when I was little. And yeah, slowly just, well, I think I feel best when I pick up an instrument every day. I think that it can feel as simple as that. And even if like nothing fruitful comes of it, if I've picked it up or touched it, or like even just hummed, like I think if I'm just humming as I'm walking around, that feels like successful to me.
Yeah. You say working 3 jobs. How did you kind of get into that? How'd you go through that and keep saying?
Yeah, I think I enjoy the variation, to be honest. And I think music gives you a sneaky feeling of like, when I work at a bakery, which I actually really love, and they're very kind people, and it's a really good environment to spend time in. And so I have no resentment for that job. But there are other jobs that are, like, I teach singing and mark university papers, and but I always had this sneaky feeling of like, oh, but I'm going to play a show tonight, or it kind of means I don't have to invest my whole heart or need my identity to be tied up in these jobs. They're just places I go, and if I'm lucky, I get to chat to nice people and drink coffee, and I am lucky because that's what it is. But I don't think I need music to be my everything. Like it's almost more fun if it's in my periphery some of the time.
Yeah, interesting. Especially like now when it's like, who the fuck is making a living off playing music? Like everyone's been squished.
Totally. Yeah, it just feels realistic. Like, yeah, of course you have to work other jobs. And like music doesn't, I don't think music needs us to make it our entire life. Like I think it's meant to be something that you do in the evening or in a particular place, or I don't know, like it's always accessible, I think. And like that, as in like it's accessible for you to like hum while you're walking.
Yeah.
So in that way, I feel quite optimistic about it, because I'm like, well, yeah, I'll always be walking, and I'll always be like, yeah, there's always time to sing, if only to myself.
The thing I can't quite get my head around is like, when you love a band and you know they're working other jobs, does that change the way you see them? Just because we've traditionally grown up with like rock stars, you know?
Yeah. Not for me. It kind of adds to their mystique. I also think I don't need to know everything about a band that I love either. Like, I think I'm leaning more into mystery these days anyway. Like I just, if they can make me feel something when I'm in the room with them, then that's great. And then it feels realistic that they have other things going on, but I'm not really curious about it, to be honest. I just want to be in awe of what happens in the space when we're together, I think. Yeah.
And the way that it makes you feel, and like taking that seriously, taking that moment seriously.
Totally. And having that, like, that's the work. Like, that's the work. It's not, it's not what they're doing outside of that room. Although that contributes to it. Like the communion and the exchange is beautiful because it's so transitory in that hour. Like that's so enticing to me. And that's enough.
We live more and more as individuals, don't we? Because of socials and because of just the way the world is now. Like we're whether we like it or not, we're less of like a village and more of like a every person for themselves. That's very much, that feels like part of the cultural psyche right now. Working out what that means. You know what I mean? Like, do you take what you want from society? And that's not a bad thing. It's not selfish. Like, everyone needs to be selfish sometimes, but you take what you need and you enjoy that. And I guess that's what our relationship with music is.
Yeah, totally. And it's nice that it has a sweet spot, I suppose, because it, as an act, is probably one of the most collective things you can participate in, like going to a show and standing in a room of people who are all there for the same reason, and processing the music at the same time. But it's so beautiful and like dimensional because everyone has had a different day that day, and everyone is feeling different, and everyone's going to go home feeling a different thing. And I feel like maybe in that way music is so balanced and helpful, like all performance and ritual are, because it's like it unifies us, but it also allows room for everyone to be individual, which is probably what we want. We want to be together, but we also want to feel like there's space for us to be whoever we are. And
that's why we go to gigs.
What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's why we go to gigs rather than, I mean, recently I have to admit this year and last year I haven't been to so many gigs because I've been working late nights, and honestly I just need to like relax sometimes, and I've realized that that's what I need to feel good and healthy and to sustain and not feel overwhelmed by life. But when I do go to a gig, it's like it's a special occasion. It's separate from listening to the record. It's like you're sharing, you're looking around, you're making, you know, not too intense eye contact, but you're making eye contact with people around you, and you're like, okay, you're seeing other people who are maybe just like you, and also completely different. There's something quite magical in that. Yeah.
And that's beautiful if you've been able to identify how much of that you need and how much, like, you know, because being at home is so helpful for so much as well. So it's like, that's our task, isn't it? To be like, what's the combination of things I need to feel healthy and okay?
You learn.
It sounds like you've got it. Yeah.
Well, I'm on my way. I think it's a journey, right? I mean, when I was a teenager, I used to love staying at friends' houses. I never wanted to go home, and actually that carried on until my late 20s, where I just didn't want to go home. I was always sleeping on friends' couches, even if I didn't need to, because I wanted to be around people. You know, I loved that being around. And I think like now realizing early 30s, I'm like, oh, I don't need that. Maybe what I needed was my own home, or my own couch and my own crappy TV and my own lovely cat. And then that's what makes me feel calm. You know? What makes you feel calm?
I feel calm when I'm out in the world, but on my own, like when I'm in public space, but on my own. Especially I've been in Scotland for the last week, and I've been feeling a lot of walking euphoria because I don't know I've never been here before. And I haven't had anything pressing to do because the first show's tonight of this tour I'm on. So I've been able to follow my instincts, which I think I find difficult a lot of the time. Yeah, when my head's busy and my intuition gets clouded by that. But I feel really calm when I'm on my own and walking with purpose. And when I'm reading.
Walking with purpose is a good way not to get stopped in the street as well.
Oh my God. Yesterday I was trying to go for a swim in Glasgow, and I looked up swimming pools and I found this one that was close, so I walked to it. But then I realized it was like a private like members only one. And so I just buzzed them to be like, oh, can I pay to come casually? And then someone had just come out, so I just slipped in, but there was no one at reception. So I was like, so I just kind of, it was a bit cheeky, but I just kind of went in to see what would happen. And I just assumed a very stern expression. And no one questioned me. And I had a lovely swim, and there were hot towels.
Hot towels? Come on.
Hot towels. We don't have that in our pools in Melbourne.
That's it. Hey, do you know what? Sometimes you just got to take those chances, and it doesn't make you like a bad chance. It doesn't make you like rude or anything. You just got to take your chance. As long as you're being nice and polite, I think that's fine. That's it. Yep. It felt right. I think I'm learning the difference between like what feels good and what feels right. So, and I don't know if I have any conclusive statements on it, but often I think I'm always looking for the right thing. And I think what's more helpful and more lovely is just the thing that feels good, which is going for a swim, no matter what sneakiness is required. I love your new tune, Utensil.
Thank you, darling. It's
got such an amount of space in it. It's got a lot of headroom. And it's interesting listening to that, like after, like or next to your 2022 record. And Utensil feels very free. It feels like there's a lot of freeness that's come from it.
That's a lovely thing to say. Thank you. Thanks for listening to it. And sorry, I feel like we started chatting too fast. I didn't get to say thank you for having me on your podcast too.
Absolutely, no worries. Yeah, of course.
But it's lovely to hear that. I think I am trying to feel more free. I don't know where I'm at with achieving that, but I think this new song feels like more zoomed out, or like bird's eye perspective, instead of being like in the weeds with it all. I feel more and I think it's like that mystery thing as well. I'm just more interested in letting things, or trying to let them be essences, rather than leading an audience by the hand to be like, this is how it felt and this is what I want you to feel. I don't want to do that. I want to leave room.
That's really nice. And in the weeds is such the way to put it. I think a lot of people who are creative can understand that feeling of being like kind of in the fug, or like lost, or like not really knowing. And that's a difficult spot to get out of.
Yeah, I'm there every day. Like I'm in the weeds every day at some point. But I think that's my constitution. I don't know about you, but I feel like there's a moment every day where I'm like very lost and very depressed, or not like, but to varying degrees. But then I think usually there's like a moment where I can appreciate like how kind my friends are, or I don't know, something. And I'm just trying to get better at allowing it all to be there, instead of needing to be in like a euphoric state all the time, which is not going to happen.
It's not going to happen, isn't it? It's kind of like a moment. Happiness is a moment.
Yeah. Or just like contentment, or like I've been feeling diffused on this trip. I realized, like, I just feel a bit like my molecules are like more spread out than normal, and I feel more like, which feels like such a nicer goal than like happy. Like diffused to me feels like so relaxed, and like things can come in and things can leave.
Yeah, that's very therapy style, isn't it? You know, like thoughts are like clouds, and they go. But it's true. I take the piss out of I'm taking the piss out of myself there, you know, because that's what a therapist said to me a few years ago, and I'm like, what does it mean? And then over the years, I'm like, oh, I get it. I kind of get it. You know, things come in and out. That you let things go ultimately.
Yes.
Difficult. But also let them in. Why not? You can have a bad thought, and that's fine.
Yeah, totally. I've been thinking about how like surrender, like the imagery of surrender is like letting things go. But I think, also it could be being inviting, like to be in a surrendered state is to allow. So that could be invitational, or, I don't know the word
push
for
something
it.
Away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What state are you in, if in this kind of world of like, I don't even know how to say it.
At the moment, it's like I go back to the pretty simple thing of like, I can pay my rent and I can pay groceries, and that's kind of the base level. That was the big thing. Like, it's interesting because I don't come from a family that has had money troubles, and I feel very thankful and lucky for that. And as a 20-year-old, like, I found it really hard to hold down jobs, and like, I've borrowed money from family, but never more than like 500 quid, you know, like I've never been bankrolled. And so I have felt very worried about money. I felt really worried about like, how do I do this? Like, I can't get a beer with my friends because I can't afford it. I can't do these things that like, I feel clammed up. I feel like stunned. So that's something that I'm just slowly coming out of.
Oh, that's awesome. That must feel lovely to not have that sort of fear.
And it's freedom. I don't think money buys happiness, but I think money can buy freedom, and it means you can do shit.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And it's funny, isn't it? Like feeling like you don't have heaps of money and having to negotiate or like explore the priorities. Like, yeah, it is very telling, I think. Yeah, I relate to that as well. Just feeling like it makes you feel like stuck, or like your arms are pinned to your sides and you're like, well, I can't go do that because, it definitely makes you more creative.
makes you
But-
deal with what you've got in front of you. Have you, when you lived in Australia, did you have like a flat or like a place where you were writing, or like a place that felt like home? You're like, okay, this is my spot.
Yeah. Well, I had I don't have much of a routine really, but I had a month this year in January where I was on my own, and I was writing. Like, I don't know why, but I just got into this nice rhythm of writing, and that felt really good, and that was just in my house. But yeah, normally I think I feel more creative when I'm in public, like at the cafe or in a new place. Like being overseas right now feels really exciting to me.
Yeah, because it's different people who have had a different upbringing to you, to people who have different like conditions. But if you're going to a different spot, even though I don't know, London or Glasgow, maybe it's not a million miles away culturally from Melbourne or Sydney, but like you have had people have been brought up differently.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and it's just nice to feel like my ancestors are Scottish, and I feel actually like a real sense of place here. Like I feel quite. I've been saying to my friends, I feel perfect in Scotland, which sounds like fucked to say, but I just mean like, it feels very similar to Melbourne, I guess.
It feels right.
Yeah, it feels right. Exactly.
That's good. I like that. I sometimes the place where sometimes I feel uncool in places, but then after a little while, it's like, nah, fuck it. I don't actually care. I think that's quite a liberating feeling. Yeah, you're like, yeah, I do belong here.
Yeah, maybe that's easier in a new place because you don't have any of your usual associations with it. And yeah, like I've noticed that I've just been wearing like normally I love clothes and I love getting dressed, but in Scotland I've just been wearing the same clothes every day and I feel totally liberated and comfortable, and like that belonging feeling. But yeah, it's just nice. I love like being in a new place and just seeing what it reveals to you. And like I don't know, even I've been seeing I had so many like nice animal interactions here, and I think because I haven't had much of an agenda, I've just been able to like wander up streets that feel like they're beckoning to me. And then I saw this beautiful squirrel yesterday with no tail who was following me, and this gorgeous Labrador this morning that was like a grey Labrador. Never seen one of them.
Yeah, me neither. That's really sweet.
But yeah, it's nice to feel open. I don't always feel like this, but yeah, Scotland is making me feel open.
Yeah, awesome. What did you do when you finished school? What were people's opportunities like back home? And, what were the decisions that you made back then?
I left my small town immediately and went to jazz school in Melbourne, which was difficult. And I don't really remember like even really just, I don't know why that I pushed myself to do that, or like, and I was lucky to have a family who would support me with that and encourage me to be somewhere new. But I moved to Melbourne and I was the worst in my jazz school cohort. I found it really hard. And I think I was always meant to write simple music. So that was a nice detour to find that out in a hard way. And then, but Melbourne to me, I think I sometimes still have like an outsider's perspective on it because I didn't grow up there and because I had to, leave my family at the ripe age of 18 or whatever. Not that's not right, but I really appreciate it as a city. Have you ever been to Melbourne?
Yeah, once, but I was a few years ago, and I didn't really enjoy it. I was during my university stage. I was in my final year of uni in London, and just like kind of didn't really enjoy it, and wasn't in a good personal place. So I didn't really feel very much.
That's fair.
Sadness. But that happens, doesn't it?
Totally. Yep. And of course that would determine how you feel about a place with how you're feeling. That makes total sense.
But you can paint over that as well. You can paint a new layer.
Yeah.
over
Yeah,
somewhere.
maybe one day you'll return. Yeah. I feel like that about lots of places too, where I was just like, fuck this place. So, and it's just not about the place at all.
Yeah,
It's
totally.
definitely about me. Or like the company you're with as well. Do you find that like
Oh,
depending on who?
100%. That was something I learned really hard because I grew up with the best company, and then in my 20s didn't have as good quality of company, and then realized that later, you know?
Oh, it's everything. Probably even more than place, I reckon,
Yeah.
for me, who I'm with.
Because you can miss the train or the hotel forgets your booking, and it's who you're with that determines that feeling. And what happens next, and then it's either fine or it's a trouble. So
Yeah.
you know, that's an example. That's a good example, right? Of like who you're with just totally dictates the feeling.
Totally. And like if you're alone, the relationship you have with yourself in that context, I guess that in lieu of being with other people, determines that as well.
That's it. Did you stay in Melbourne then?
Yeah. Yeah, I've lived there for 9 years, I think.
Okay.
And this, been lucky to travel a little bit. But yeah, this is my first time coming overseas to play shows.
Yeah. And you're supporting Angie McMahon.
Yes, dear Angie, angel of our hearts.
That is
cherub of our dreams. Saint of our.
That's fun. And you're playing in, is it Earth this week or next?
Yep, playing Earth on Thursday, playing Oran Moor tonight in Glasgow, playing somewhere in Manchester tomorrow. I can't remember the name.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'm
so excited.
It's going to go by like a flash, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then
I'm just excited to meet people and hear their cute accents. And I don't really have any expectations for it other than like I'm just excited to let these songs out in new places.
Yeah, awesome. And then what's happening when you get home? Did you record other tunes when you recorded Utensil?
Yeah, there's an album slowly being chipped away at, just when I can fund it. But I think it's funny. I feel like I've consciously shifted towards like releasing this single, whereas normally, you know, traditionally maybe you'd wait for the album to be ready to commence the singles rollout. But well, for me, because I'm self-funding it, that will be so far away. That'll be like 2 or 3 years away probably. So I was like, no, I'm just gonna focus on getting one song out, and just to have that feeling of movement and release, and for myself to feel like I'm moving forward with music. And that actually feels so right to me. That feels really good. And although it's less like industry advised, it actually has been lovely just to have one song out and not have to have it allude or like be like big things coming, like just be like, yep, here's a song. There'll be another song at some point. But like that feels quite liberating.
It's a pure connection. I think when we're listening to that song or listen to a record, it's nice not to feel like we're being sold something. It's like, here's a song for you to engage with. I think the big music industry, it's got to be starting to look towards the creators more and more, because there's not a lot of money in it anyway. So just you got to look to the creators and look to the fans, the audiences, and where culture's happening. People are congregating.
Yeah, that's it. That's why, like, I think, with all its hoo-ha of the industry, like the shows still feel like the most transportive part of it, and I don't think that will ever change. That's like a fundamental human primal thing. So it's like, I think if anyone needs like a tonic for the industry, like either attending a show or playing a show, I think will always reveal something.
Totally. The amount of stuff that you'll listen to and you're like, oh, it's okay, and then you see it live and it has the potential to be completely something different and more touching, more soul touching, and more brilliant. You know, that live is always going to be the spot for that.
Totally.
It goes the other way as well.
That's it. Yep. But that's the thing, like, kind of doesn't matter. It's just an experience. Like, I used to work at a theatre, and I would like as an usher, and I would sit, you know, to like be there if the audience was sick or whether there was a fire or something. And I used to just watch the same shows over and over again. And even if I hated them, I would always be provoked, or like there'd always be something about it that would stay with me. And my taste kind of became less relevant because the impact was still so felt, and it made me think about that. Like an experience doesn't need to have a what am I trying to say?
Like a gauge.
Gauge, exactly. Thank you.
I get it.
Exactly.
It's very much, I feel like especially on like a friend WhatsApp group, say someone puts in a movie or a TV show or a song, the temptation is to be like, yes, I like it, or no, I don't like it. I feel like that's kind of irrelevant.
Yeah. Yep. You just experience it. Like if you have the capacity to welcome a new experience into your heart, I think then you get to talk about it and you get to move around the world with like a new image in your head. Like ultimately that can never, that's not a, that adds dimension, whether or not it's good or bad.
Adds to your life.
Yeah,
that's good. Hey, really lovely to chat. Really good to talk.
Yeah, you too.
I feel like 101 part-time jobs, work is kind of everything. Like life is work, and like where we've worked, I mean, a lot of the time, most of the time is we don't want to be there. And I feel like similar to what we've just been saying there, whether you think you like something or not like something, it affects you. It has an effect on you.
Yeah.
What are some jobs that you've had that have really had the most profound effects on you, do you think? I mean, being an usher, I mean, that's a good one because you're watching art, you're watching entertainment. But have you had any jobs that you've really disliked, or stuff that's really made you determined, or given you like an active feeling like that?
Totally. I worked in an Indian restaurant when I was a teenager in Inverloch, which is it's like a small coastal town 2 hours south of Melbourne, where I grew up. And that was so good for me as like a little white girl from, not a very diverse community. I became friends with these beautiful people from the Punjab region in India, and I ended up traveling to India a few years later, and they were so excited to share with me like the food and tips from traveling, and I just really cherish memories of working there. And I worked with my brother there as well, which was beautiful because he's my hero. And yeah, that was a really good job. And I just got to eat beautiful food all the time.
Awesome.
And yeah, this bakery that I work at now in Brunswick in Melbourne is the owner, Pip, has somehow managed to make it feel like a small town, even though it's like a very quite a large sprawled suburb in the inner north of Melbourne. And people really come there, I think, for a fix of community, and we know everyone's names, and we have like fun there, even though it's like hard work, and people are rude to, in the same way that all hospitality or maybe all jobs are, but it's like there's a lot of fun that we have there, which I really cherish. I think that's the most important thing to me.
That's really nice.
Yeah.
Got to be friendly. The one small interaction can really change someone else's day, and that's the kind of place where it can happen. I read something on someone I follow. They said, you can have just a really awful day and walk down the road to the coffee shop and have a nice conversation, and all of a sudden your lens shifts, and you feel differently. That's the place where that can happen.
That's it. And I think it's, even wider than friendliness for me. Like it's, I don't even think you have to be nice to change someone's day or to have your day changed. Like I think just looking at someone in the eyes sometimes is enough for me to be like, okay, I'm a person in the world and there are people like me. And that's like, it's nice when it can be removed from like ideals of like positivity or something for me, because I often don't feel, I actually am super grumpy when I'm working there. But despite that, there's still like beautiful human connection moments, sort of divorced from politeness.
It's real.
It's real, yeah.
I got one of the guys who works in our local coffee shop that I love, and my partner works there, and it's really nice to go in there, and that's one of the places that I used to feel uncool and now I don't care anymore. One of the guys who works behind the counter, it's like I know he doesn't want to talk, And that's good. That's good. I understand, I understand it.
You understand, yeah, and you obviously have been there enough times to know that that's just what he's like, and it's not about you. Or like,
yeah, and that can make you feel human. Because it's like you're on a level with someone. There is some level of understanding.
Totally. Yeah, that's
good.
a beautiful point.
Nice. Hey, Hannah, really lovely to meet you. And I'm going to try and make the Earth show. Actually, no, I can't. I'm at the end of the road or something, which I'm absolutely gutted about.
Oh, that's okay.
If it's not,
no worries.
I think it might be something else. But have a great gig.
Thank you.
And really lovely to meet you.
Yeah, you too. Thanks for your kindness and for having me on your podcast. It's so lovely to have been on here.
Of course. Hey, yeah, thank you for the time. And Utensil is such a lovely tune.
Thank you.
I'm looking forward to the next one.
Thanks, sweetheart. Lovely to meet you.
Lovely to meet you. Have a great trip.
Thanks. Give your cat a pat for me.
I will do, Mr. P.
Mr. P.
So there was Hannah McKittrick on 101 Part-Time Jobs. A huge important part of this show is, hopefully, if we're doing our jobs right, introducing you to new music. So if you've just heard about Hannah McKittrick on this show, that's the way it's supposed to work. I'm a huge fan of that new track, Utensil. Go and stream it. Go and share it with a friend. And cheers for being here. See you tomorrow with an episode with Katie J. Pearson, who's just about to release her new record someday now.
101 Part-Time Jobs is hosted by Giles Bidder and produced by me, Olivia Swash. This has been a Mighty Moon Media production.
Hey guys, it is Ryan. I'm not sure if you know this about me, but I'm a bit of a fun fanatic when I can. I like to work, but I like fun too. And now I can tell you about my favorite place to have fun. Chumba Casino. They have hundreds of social casino style games to choose from with new games released each week. You can play for free and each day brings a new chance to collect daily bonuses. So join me in the fun. Sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply.